welcome to 3-Minute Warnings.
The show where we take 5 of the hottest sports topics and break them down into 3 minutes or less. My name is Michael Medina. With me, as always, is my good buddy David Griffin.
We're also joined today by Miss AJ Lawrence over there at the Stream.TV Sports Desk, USC Insiders. Say hello, AJ.
Hi, guys.
We're going to get right into it today. We're going to talk about the Masters tournament. Big time. Tiger Woods back. Made the cut. Got through Friday. You know, I mean, Tiger has been making all the cuts lately. He's back. It was kind of a surprise that he even got into the tournament. Jordan Speith, of course, is our champion at the tender year of 21 years of age.
Man, he just
Young.
tore it up.
Minus
this
18.
weekend, didn't he?
Record setting minus. He actually got to minus 19 under par, which is crazy. Finished at 18. Not quite as big of a victory as Tiger had back in '97 when he won, and Tiger just killed it. But I mean, still a great victory for this young guy.
Amazing, though. He's kind of like the anti-Tiger, too. He's all like, gosh darn.
Yeah,
he's a nice
Seems
guy.
like a nice guy.
Yeah.
Like
But
a
no,
nice
he
guy.
had an amazing match. It looked great. Had some other guys looking good, too. Like Phil Mickelson was one of those guys, like, you know, I'm not done yet.
Right.
I'm still alive and kicking. You know, he looked pretty hot.
And of the 4 majors, this one's, you know, I mean, the Masters just has the most clout. You know, I mean, there's a U.S. Open, there's a British Open. No offense, anything in the British Open, that's a great tournament as well. There's also PGA Championship at the end of the year, but the Masters, it's king. I mean, it's the biggest. It's kind of like Wimbledon, you know, for tennis. It just has that esteem and with the greenery and the flowers and then the classical. It has its own theme song. Same theme song every time.
The Champions League.
But there were some surprises. It's hard to say surprises because all these guys are so talented. Everybody in the top 15 are talented. You have like Hunter Mahan in there. You have Ian Poulter. All these guys are super talented guys. So if anybody won or got in the top 10, it's not a big surprise. But I would say, Michael, starting with you, who were your surprises this week? That stood out for you, besides the winner, obviously.
Going into it, I was talking about Tiger Woods. Like on Friday, it's like one of my sleepers. I'm like, you know, I really want him to have a good outing here. Top 10 would be amazing. He was 17th, I believe. Still look good. I mean, he didn't look horrible. I know we were kind of like on the fence about Tiger. Is Tiger back? Is he really done? Who knows? But I'm happy with the 17th for him.
Okay, I'll throw it over to AJ. AJ, do you think that Tiger? You think this is a good sign for him? Nice, solid start. Do you think he can come back and do some damage?
Yeah, I think Tiger's kind of on his way, moving back. But the thing is, it's a question, for me at least, of whether he's going to be able to catch up with everyone else. Because, you know, we kind of saw, you know, we have this new elite status going on here. And Tiger, he's trying to play this game of catch-up, and he just might be too old for it. So, who knows?
Oh, poor guy, he's getting old. Jack still won a Masters at 47, so hopefully he's not out of it yet. Hopefully he can
old Tiger
get there
to come
again.
back out.
I think for my guys, probably Phil Mickelson. You know, I have to agree with that. I know Michael's talking about that too. Minus 14. Phil has been up and down as well. You know, those guys are getting older. Phil's even older than Tiger, so I mean, those guys aren't in their prime anymore. But to Phil, man, several more years, he could be in the senior tour just tearing it up. Once you get to 50, you get in the senior tour, just playing with Garrett, you know, all those old guys. But I was impressed this weekend. It was a fun weekend. It's great to see young talent besides Rory. You know, I mean, I'd love Tiger to be in it too. I'd love Tiger to compete with the 21-year-olds, but it's great to see a new 21-year-old like Speith, American kid, doing well. It was a good tournament. You watch the matches. Golf is still exciting. Just because Tiger's on it doesn't mean it's exciting. It's still good. We're going to go on to the next topic here. We're going to talk about some NBA. Yeah, perfect timing, Buzz. Just went off. Perfect timing to transition. NBA, the playoff race is still going on. We're almost finished with this season. It's very close to being done. I guess probably the biggest matchup this weekend was you had the Pelicans playing as well as Oklahoma City Thunder. Russell Westbrook, again, 54 points, and they still lost.
Again, man, further proves my point.
Still lost. But the
Steph
Pelicans
Curry
lost,
MVP.
though, too. The Pelicans lost as well. So.
No, they did as well. No, and again, 54 points, great for Westbrook. I know what I have my eye on right now is that Eastern Conference. And those that 8th and 9th right now with Indiana and Brooklyn. Paul George came back a lot sooner than I thought he would. I was hoping that would provide a bit of a spark. They're same record. I think technically Brooklyn is in the 8th seed right now. Same record though, but I'm looking at like what these two teams like who they'll be playing like up down the road. I think it's 2 more games left.
Yeah,
season's almost done. And I'm looking at who like Indiana has. They've got Chicago, you know, a 4th seed.
Chicago's always feisty.
Exactly, and they have Orlando, which is a 13th. But now look at Brooklyn; they've got a couple. Oh no, I'm sorry. Brooklyn has as that. Indiana has Washington, and then they have Memphis, a couple of 5 seeds. It's going to be a little tricky, a little tougher for Indiana, but that's definitely what I'm looking for. I think Brooklyn's going to hold on to it simply because of the fact that they have Orlando.
I feel like Cleveland's kind of taking it easy. They got killed by the Celtics. I mean, I feel like they're just resting they're resting LeBron's 30. You know, they need to rest them. I feel like since they have so many games they can give up and still have that second place spot. I feel like Cleveland just doesn't really care about these last 2 games. They're going to rest their guys. And
Might as
just
well.
keep
They've
them
already
going.
locked it
I
up.
mean, if there's, I love talking about every week it changes. So I'm always just curious. AJ, I'm just curious to your opinion. Who do you like for in the Eastern and Western Conference? Like, who are you thinking is going to be challenging for that final?
Well, I think OKC has a very more, I guess, easier schedule. But the question is are the Timberwolves going to step up? We saw Levine and his insane dunking. And, the Wolves have nothing to fight for, but I'm wondering if they're still going to put up a good fight. And then I guess I'd say on the Eastern Conference, I'm looking more for Boston to do something good. It's like they have been fighting and staying in the fight. And so I think they're going to continue to step it up. And I'd like to see them get that last spot.
Michael, how about for you? Who are you seeing competing?
I see New Orleans still trying
Shake
to
things
hold on.
up.
Shake things up. I think OKC is done. That's one of the things I do love about this time of year, because you do get some really good battles, teams fighting for like that last seed. So you're gonna get a lot of great games and stuff. But I agree with like Minnesota and the Timberwolves and stuff. They don't have much to play for, but this is kind of like you only have 2 games left in the season, right? You want to go out on top. You want to try to play upset.
Yeah, there's so much good talent out this year. I really think. Look at the top seeds, of course, and I think it's going to be Cleveland. No one's talking about Atlanta.
Yeah,
it's interesting. They still have the best record. They've been tearing it up all season, and no one's talking about Atlanta.
No one is.
I don't know. I'd watch out for Atlanta.
Actually.
Yeah, they can fly under the radar. So
Absolutely.
always going to find the radar. Okay, we got to go to the next topic. We're out of time. We got the NHL playoffs coming up. A lot of playoffs. NBA playoffs are starting.
Yep.
NHL playoffs are starting. Frozen 4 just finished. Frozen 4.
Yeah.
College.
Providence.
Providence won. Good win for Providence. Is anybody rooting for any Providence fans out there? Hashtag 3MW, thestream.tv. Send in your thoughts on that. So we got, who are your key picks there? And so we have the Eastern and the Western Conference.
All right.
Heating up.
Eastern, I'm going to go with the New York Rangers. They made it to the Stanley Cup Finals last year. Didn't do so hot against the Kings. Nonetheless, President's Trophy, they won it this year. Looking good. And then I got to go with the Blackhawks, man. I'm from Chicago. I got to go with the Hawks, man.
Imagine that. Imagine a Chicago team. I like, for me, I'm going to go a low seed in the East. I'm going to go with Detroit. Detroit's I believe they're a 6th seed right now. And Detroit's, I lived in Michigan for several years, so I've been to Hockey Town, USA down there. Joe, the arena down there is a great venue. It's old, it needs a little update, but it's still a great venue. A lot of history there. Hockey playoffs are weird because the number 1 teams aren't always the clear winners. I think the President's Cup guys, if you win the President's Cup, you hardly ever win anything.
Well, I believe
it's the President's Cup curse. I think a few
since
teams.
85, 86, that season, since it was established, only 8 teams that have won the President's Trophy have gone on to win the Stanley Cup.
So
the last team being, I think, the 2013 Blackhawks.
Right, so it's not always a good idea.
Yeah, exactly.
So there can be a lot of upsets. It's one of the few sports where let's call it home ice advantage doesn't really matter. Of all the percentages of win and loss percentages, hockey's has like the lowest percentage, so it doesn't really matter if you're home or away. I don't know why that is. I'm not going to pretend to be a hockey expert, but I think that's really interesting. But there were some teams that were also left out. LA Kings, we're in LA right here. They didn't make it. Anaheim's doing great. Anaheim's number 1 right now, number 1 seed in the Western Conference. But
Bruins
LA
didn't
Kings
show
looked
up.
up. Bruins didn't show up.
Yeah.
But LA Kings, we're going to talk about that right now, is the reason behind their lack of success. I think a lot of it probably has to do with fatigue. They have been playing hard these last 3 years. 2 Stanley Cups in the last 3 years.
Well, last year it didn't help them. Didn't do them any favors by going like Game 7s, like every single
yeah,
series.
I think they went
That's
3
good.
series, Game 7.
But you know what, though? Fatigue is one thing. I will give them that. But at the same time, you got to step up, man, especially like when it comes down to like crunch time. It's like, end of the season. You look at the team, again, I'm from Chicago. So I look at the Blackhawks, and they won it in 2010 and 2013 and stuff. But still in it. And I'm not making excuses, but, you got to, like, if you're hungry, if you want it, it's like you got to step up. You got to fight for it. And so they didn't. They got tired. I don't know.
Hockey's a fun sport. Go watch a hockey game. It's fun. It's live. AJ, what's your stake in hockey? What do you like about the sport? Who do you like? Do you stick with the local LA team? Are you an Anaheim Ducks fan? LA Kings fan? What do you think about the hockey?
Well, I'm not a hockey purist at all, but I would say of who is in the playoffs, I'm going to go DC Capitals. I used to live in DC. I got to give my love there. But I'm honestly really sad the LA Kings aren't in, but they did start kind of the season off on a not so great air with Voinov and kind of the drama and stuff. So I'm not surprised that they're not in the playoffs. I'm just sad about it.
See, just can't win. Can't win out there. Sports is rough.
But the Blackhawks are still in it. So
that's good for a Chicago fan. Not good for me. Buffalo Sabres, not a good year. That's all right. We're going to go right now talking about some NFL. AJ, what is going on in the NFL right now with all of these potential chopping block?
Well, I think kind of a little shocking thing, although it was expected, that came down last week is Troy Polamalu from the Steelers has now left us, unfortunately, after 12 long seasons with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We knew him for his hair. We knew him for his greatness as a safety. But, he decided to retire. So my question to you all, since, we have all these free agents out there that are just hanging out, is who do you think should kind of decide to, throw in the towel?
This is funny because I feel like this free agent season, this offseason has been nuts. It's been crazy. It feels like it's just become like the cool thing to just retire.
Right.
Like, Jake Locker retired. A number of other guys just decided to call it quits. But I'm looking at Greg Jennings. Okay, for a while, he was one of the better receivers in the league. He played for Green Bay, had great seasons. You have a little history with Greg Jennings.
I played against Greg Jennings in high school basketball. I was at Sturgis, Michigan. The Sturgis Trojans down there in the southwest corner of Michigan. He played for Kalamazoo Central. It's a great high school. It's where Derek Jeter also went. Derek Jeter's from, I know he's got some Jersey ties, but he went to Kalamazoo Central for high school. So, yeah, Greg Jennings is a great athlete. I didn't even know who he really was. Went to Western Michigan for college. And then all of a sudden I see him on the Green Bay Packers. I'm like, wow, I know that guy. I played against him.
Doing things.
Yeah.
No, but for a time, he had a great career, looking good. But then he went to Minnesota. And let's face it, Minnesota, their offense is pretty non-existent. So he got released. So if you can't even make it on Minnesota, that's telling you something. That's saying maybe you might want to call it a career. He's been injury-plagued the last few seasons. So that, unfortunately, has a lot to do with it. And it sucks when, a player's career kind of comes to an end because of that. But you might have to just hang it up.
There's other players, too. I feel like some of these guys we're considering for retirement, maybe like Michael Crabtree. They feel like they're not that old yet.
Yeah.
I mean, but I know it's just injuries. That's always the hardest thing is guys get banged up so much. Is like, can they sustain a full season? That's always the big question. I think some of these guys have some more life into them. I think Greg Jennings still has some more life. I think he can hang in there and win. I don't know. Buffalo needs more wide receivers.
Pick up another receiver.
Get to Buffalo. AJ, do you think injuries is reason enough to call it quits? I mean, think about the perspective of an athlete. Would you want to stay in there and tough it out, or would you just be like, look, my body's had enough and I need to just call it quits?
You know what? I definitely think if you've had a lot of injuries, you might want to call it quits because you have to have your body forever. And, you've been able to use it in this way of getting beat up and hit, but you've got to be able to do this whole life thing on the long term. So I think it might be best to kind of call it quits, take what you have now, and just cut your losses.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. I think that's a good answer. I mean, I think, you see a lot of the quarterbacks, you saw like Troy Aikman doing it, even though he had a really good career. Steve Young, these are the quarterbacks with the head injuries. That's a big thing, yeah.
And things like that, and leg injuries. Yeah, you gotta. That's a good point because you do have to live with your body. I mean, it's one thing like those old timers, like, oh, you gotta give it all, leave it all on the field and stuff. That's all well and good, but it's like, what happens when you're like 50
and you can't walk?
You barely walk.
Yeah, you can't walk. You don't have a cane
too.
when you're 50 years old.
Exactly.
So we're gonna go on to the last subject here. We're gonna talk about MLB and more doping, more drugs. Major League Baseball, more doping. We're only 1 week in. We got 80-game suspensions. We got 3 of them.
This is funny to me because I feel like this is Major League Baseball's equivalent of what we see in the NBA and the NFL with guys getting shot at clubs.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of violence with the MLB. That's true. That's a good point.
Right?
That's a good point.
No, it's funny. So you see guys like Rollins, Mejia, Ervin, Santana. That's a big one for me. Guys missing 80 games. First-time offense. So if you don't know, the drug policy, it's 80 games suspension for your first offense. Second offense, 162 games. That's a full season. Third offense, lifetime ban. You're joining Pete Rose, basically. Man, this is crazy, though, because you would think, look what happened with A-Rod just last season. Missed the whole entire year. He's been kind of rusty this year, playing first base. Not a good first base. You look at stuff like this, it kind of makes you wonder, in this day and age, with what we've seen with, Roger Clemens, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, I mean, why would you want to continue to do something like this? And then continue using the excuse, I didn't know what had happened was.
Yeah.
It's just, he looks stupid.
Yep.
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's always like, I didn't know what I was taking. No one told me what was going on. Everybody's like, oh, I didn't know. It's always, and then you see him in court in front of the, judicial system. It just looks ridiculous. I mean, you don't see this with football. Football, you get a little penalty, a little drugs. It's like, 3 games. We're talking about this on the our Clubhouse edition. Check that out here at the stream.tv, our Friday edition with Megan LaMontagne. Of course, we had AJ with us as well, talking, about suspensions. And we talked about even some NASCAR suspensions and some of the ridiculous rules that just don't add up all the time. Guys just getting suspended for, being caught with marijuana. It's like they get a game or 2 games. And then this coach, this whole texting scandal, he gets 4 games, plus the team gets fined $250,000. It's just, the Cleveland Browns. It just doesn't always add up. AJ, what do you think about, crime, and the punishment? Do you think, is baseball too harsh? or is football too lenient?
Well, I've spent some time in the criminal justice system on the academic side, but I can tell you from the studies there, they show that the more you increase the punishment, it doesn't matter. People will still commit the crime. And I think we see that in baseball, where we have these long-term half-season punishments, but people are still going to go ahead and commit the offense. So they've got to find another way. And with football, I think, the 3 games, it's a lot of money involved. It is part of the season. It is more lenient. But the thing is, it's like, even if they increased it to a full season, they're still going to commit the offenses. So it's kind of like maybe football's just taking a more lenient approach, but really, everyone's going to be offending anyways. They both got to find another way. That's for sure.
Yeah. Michael, quickly, which one of these suspensions hits the team the hardest?
Twins and Ervin Santana. Hands down. One of the better pitchers in the league. They signed him this offseason. Big addition. You want to put butts in seats, right? And this is a great way to do it when you have a big name athlete like this. You're not going to see him till July. So that's not going to help.
The Cubs will be okay.
Cubs will be all right.
Cubs are all right. As long as Chicago's good, that's all that matters.
Whew.
We're happy. So that is our show today, folks. Thanks for joining us today here at thestream.tv. Remember, #3MW, send in your questions and thoughts. Don't forget to check out our Clubhouse edition we're going to have on Fridays at 9 a.m. here. As always, I'm David Griffin. You can find me at GriffinDE on Twitter.
You can also find me on Twitter at Mr. Michael Alexis, and David and myself right here on thestream.tv on the Arrow After Show.
AJ, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at the AJ Lawrence.
Thanks again, folks. We will see you tomorrow with some more 3-Minute Warning.